Hey guys, this is Patdees. Welcome to the channel tonight. I appreciate everyone stopping by. That was a little intro that we had done. Actually, that was Lauren's artwork, and I wanted to feature it. We had to do some editing because we had loaded it up in the system last night and realized that we couldn't use that music. So we had to take about 4 hours today to kind of go over that. So there'll be a couple minutes as people roll into the room. I really appreciate everyone that's going to stop by. And if you're watching this on the replay, give me thumbs up. So Lauren is working with TOPPS, and how I found Lauren is looking online through TOPPS Project 70, and she was a guest actually on Blake's. And I mentioned to her about coming on the show as Blake's been on and F. Dot, and to kind of share her story and her journey. She released her card this week, and actually she had a little teaser here I want to share with you.
I've been creating art for MLB for the last couple of years. It's really exciting to now bring it down to the card size. As also someone who collected cards in the 90s with my sweet mullet, I would like to think I've come a long way in both my art and potentially my hairstyle. The hardest part for Project 70 for me is going to be not to reveal the art piece to you before the drop date, but I won't do it. I'm going to be strong.
So if you got that little teaser, and the numbers actually came out today on her release. So I'm gonna bring her in here, and please welcome Lauren.
Hi.
Hello, Lauren. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem. I appreciate you being a guest. And I saw that today that your card did actually, out of the three, did very well. About 5,800 cards.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. I appreciate you. If anyone doesn't know, we were supposed to do this tomorrow night, but Lauren is having surgery tomorrow. So I said, "Are you sure you want to do it the night before?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm all in for it." So we are going to actually, too, her card, we are going to give away, and you guys pay attention. If you guys are watching this, in probably about 2 or 3 weeks, leave a comment on this video, and we have bought several of Lauren's cards, and we're going to give one of the viewers her card for free. People super chat us and support the channel that way, and I try to give it back to the viewers and stuff like that. And I'm excited to do that for our guest. And a little bit later on in the show, we're going to do something where Blake's card, and we'll feature that drawing and stuff like that. So real quick, I want to say hello to a couple people that are in here. Blake was here. He actually left this comment yesterday. Pittsburgh, Anthony, thank you for stopping. Landshark Picker, Joe, Flipping Flamingos. I know a lot of these people that follow my channel and watch and are resellers and stuff like that. So Borderline Hoarderish, Kim, thank you for stopping by. So when is your next card coming out, Lauren?
I actually asked that question today, and I don't have a date yet. So I think TOPPS is still figuring out some details on that. My guess is between the next 2 to 3 weeks. So as soon as I know, I'll announce on my social media as well through my mailing list. But I'm eager to get that date out to people as soon as possible so that people can prepare and put
right.
if they're trying to collect the set. So yeah.
And here's a comment. JC, love your work, Lauren. Killed it with Judge. Can't wait for your other cards.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
It was a little nerve-wracking debuting a card, so I'm glad it was received well by some. So.
Yeah. There's another channel, and I'm gonna there's a little 20-second teaser here. If you guys are watching this, and I told Chris I would feature him tonight from CBT cards, and this guy, if you guys want to follow TOPPS Project 70, follow his channel, and his link is below.
Gold 1 of 1, that card will be yours. So when it comes to the giveaway tonight, the card that I'm going to give away free for print run guessing, it's going to be Lauren Taylor's Aaron Judge. So right now in the comments below, leave your print run projection for Lauren Taylor's Aaron Judge. But also hang on a quick second, because there's a second giveaway in this episode. But when you take a look at this Aaron Judge, I had one big fear of Lauren Taylor's cards, and I related back to what I said all of the time around Andrew Thiel in Project 2020. The artwork is so detailed because it gets shrunk down into a trading card. You lose some of the detail, but because of the fact that Lauren Taylor's Aaron Judge basically has no background, the design on Aaron Judge's jersey stands out even more. I mean, the simple fact that there's an Aaron Judge inside of an Aaron Judge makes this card amazing. So I can't wait to give this card away. So best of luck guessing this print run for this Aaron Judge.
Do you know Chris at all?
I don't. We've exchanged a few messages, but no, I don't. And I just basically let him know in the future if I can aid in any giveaways to let me know. I'm always happy to help out channels.
Yeah, I'm trying to get. He works during the week, and I'm trying to get him on the come on the show on one weekend and stuff. So
okay.
It's nice to see all these people supporting you and you know, doing what you're doing. And people don't realize the work that goes into this. To kind of people ask me how. I was on a show this morning, a reselling, and I saw your thumbnail with that good-looking woman on there, and I said, "Oh, okay. So now you're going to come by and watch," because they don't want to watch me.
No, you never know.
No.
People come on whenever I do lives just to watch my dog, so you know I get it.
Yeah. And you're not in the description, I put a link to her webpage. I put a link to her YouTube, and she doesn't really do YouTube much. But
no, that's something I'm trying to add to the many different hats. I just started hiring this last week when I hit the panic button a little bit with just everything. I kind of falsely hit it a few times during the holidays, but with the card dropping, it just became apparent that I can't juggle all this in the air, and I'm going to drop something. So yeah, I want to build rather than take away. So YouTube is something I would like to do at some point, but for now, just kind of trying to jump on podcasts and channels.
Right. And it's amazing. I mean, me and you talked privately, and you were going through the same thing a lot of us resellers, you know. Tell everybody where you live at and what you were experiencing in December with orders and stuff.
Hell. It was amazing in a sense that it was my best, you know, holiday season. I just finished my Dodgers commemorative piece, who has a great fan base in terms of sales. So I was getting a lot of sales from that alone, and then mixed in with the holiday shopping. It was amazing, but I was fighting with USPS constantly. I am in Canada, but I'm in Vancouver, so I'm not far away. I use a third-party company called Chit Chats. Such a weird business name, but anything under $300, they basically have liaison with USPS to bring it across the border without dealing with customs or holds or whatever. Problem is, I don't get a lot of options outside of USPS, and there was tons of missing scans. That was probably my biggest challenge. Was a package would be delayed, yet it also would stop being scanned somewhere in Washington. So I would try and explain to people that it's on its way, I promise. And they'd be like, well, no, it says it's just waiting for arrival in Blaine. So luckily, I would say all my customers with a conversation, with exclusion of maybe one or two people that, you know, you're probably just never going to please anyway. You know, everyone was very gracious and kind. And, you know, I brought on DHL Express at the end for any really like last minute, it's for their kid on Christmas morning type of things. Yeah. And I did overnight stuff to people, but it was a bit of a mess. It was very stressful at one point. I made my cutoff date really conservative, so I backed it up to like 12th or 13th was my last drop dead date for delivery in time, when they were telling us still the 18th. Yet there's no way if I let stuff go on the 18th that it would have ever made it. So
right,
yeah, it was stressful, like most of you, and also most people know about the difficulty of getting top loaders. TOPPS project went through this last year. I ship all of my prints in top loaders, 11 by 14 top loaders, unless you buy a poster. So the constant panic of almost being out of those and trying to order them from anywhere and paying a premium because of that. I mean, there's a few times where I was like, okay, what can I kind of rig up here to keep these things safe if I run out of top loaders? I got down to like 5 at one point, but I never actually ran out, thank God. So
those were all the prints that you were selling?
The prints I put in top loaders so that they don't get damaged on the way. I prefer to sell flat as often as possible rather than rolled. I do roll the posters, but for anything less than 16 by 20, I try and ship flat.
Right.
You need top loader, and with all the PPE supplies and stuff being shipped out for COVID, man, it just.
No, I know, because I was when TOPPS, I was buying. We probably bought about 200 TOPPS Project 2020 cards.
Yeah.
Probably 200 myself, and my youngest son, who's 20, got into it, and now my oldest son, who doesn't live with me no more, he's getting into it, and with a lot of shipments being delayed from China and stuff, they just couldn't get a lot of those. And that was the delay. I've been seeing on Facebook posts that people are already getting their TOPPS Project 70 cards.
They decided to bring in someone in-house, because when I first was approached by TOPPS, my first question was, like, my fear has always been maintaining my brand. So I don't want to be tied in with, if, people aren't getting their cards, will they then think Lauren Taylor Illustrations is not going to ship product quickly? So that was my first question, was like, do we have a better handle on that? And they said, yes, I've learned a lot. I mean, anybody creating something with a bunch of plastic and shipping during COVID had their struggles.
Right.
It was amplified by TOPPS Project for them, but they brought in-house. They have their own top loaders made, which I think helps. I also know that this time they're printing as they go. So as soon as my card started selling, my card started printing, which is different than last year. So.
Yeah. Now you haven't so you haven't been to the States at all. You're based up in Canada.
No, yeah, I'm here, which makes things a little complicated. I have a USPO box 45 minutes away.
Right.
So people are asking me about through the mail autographs, and I don't know what I'm going to do yet. So
right. Hey, now that we got a bunch of people in here, real quick, I want to. It's always hard, and I want to make sure that I'm not missing any questions with Lauren. And I have this, and she doesn't have much of a presence on YouTube, but honestly, as I looked into her the last really 2 weeks in some of her Facebook posts and stuff like that, she has an amazing story. So what I want to do is I have a prepared clip here I want to show the audience, and boy, in 5 minutes, you're really going to get I think you're amazing, Lauren, and I think the audience will agree when they see this. So enjoy.
Hi guys, I am going to do this with you. I had to call around to find a USA Today and Canada Today, but I did, and I'm going to open it in front of you guys the same time that I'm seeing it, which took a lot of patience that I'm generally lacking to do that, so feel privileged. Alright, so here I got 2 copies just because why not. Here's USA Today. Just gonna go to the sports section. I don't really know what to expect here, but okay. Now we're in the sports section. Get rid of the life section. Okay, so this is the sports section. Ha! It's on. Whoa! That's my art! CenturyLink Field is bananas. It's a little bit different than a baseball stadium. It is loud, and I am close to the end zone. It's a lot of fun, but made it here. Got the art in the hands of the director of player relations, I believe. Scheduled to meet up with KJ Wright and Russell Wilson here at the end of the game.
Beautiful. That's amazing. So good. Thank you so much. Awesome.
Yeah, so I did what's the name of the town?
Okay, my son.
Yeah, so it's right there.
Okay.
In there.
Okay.
Barely got it in there. Yeah. Yeah.
All my family is.
Yeah. And then I put a print in there for your mouth. Yeah, if you need a bigger one.
game too. I know, right?
Lunging ground ball on the second hop. Seager has that. But you got a piece of artwork from somebody who dropped by the booth here.
I did. Laura Taylor, she's on my website, and she did this very, very nice, I don't know what you call it, but I'm not sure, like a lithogram maybe or something like that, but very, very nice job. You know, she presented to me before the game and signed a couple of things for her. And
that's nice when people come to the booth and give you gifts like that.
it really is. She was so nice. I signed a couple of things for her. We took pictures. And that's makes you feel good when you get stuff like that.
With the slogan, create without fear, which I came up with to try and encourage people to do what they love and to create things and express themselves in ways that they feel is right for them without fear of rejection or fear of vulnerability or fear around what others think, and rather to create from the heart and to do it without fear. Portion of all proceeds of Create Without Fear apparel goes towards these little sketch pads and colored pencils that will be dropped off at various locations that could use a little outlet, such as at-risk youth centers, community centers, women's shelters, the crisis center, first responders, what have you. Just a place for someone to freely exercise the idea of creating art as another way to talk and release.
Mental health challenges with the help of a personal art project, and is now getting recognized for her unique creations and talent. Local artist Lauren Taylor joins us this morning to tell us more about her passion and how it has healed her. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Pleasure to meet you. So you are a former ball player.
Yes.
But how did this all start, painting?
Yeah, I started doing art in high school, actually, like pencil drawings. It never was anything too sports related. It was more kind of the start of this mental health journey that I'm sure touch on more later, but kind of drawing as a way to show emotion without the vulnerability of saying it, if you will. So that's how it got started, and then I got much more submersed in sports until I took a line drive to the face, broke my face in 4 places, and went through a long road of recovery. This was just 3 years ago, to getting back to a good place with mental health because it really exacerbated it. I wasn't able to play, so I started really focusing my art on baseball to kind of get that fix and find my way back. So.
That's just amazing. I don't know if it's the music or the story, but boy, it gets you emotional. And when I found you, and it's it's hard because when I saw you like 2 weeks ago on Blake, I didn't want to ask, and you called me on the phone and were so polite and explained things to me, and I wanted to show the audience basically, boy, in that 5 minutes, boy, that was an excellent snapshot of your love for art, and you talk about doing something so fun and being a kid, and then the injury that you're going through, and the audience doesn't know we mentioned that you're having surgery tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean it's been a long journey for sure. And it stems before the injury. Obviously mental health is a huge thing for me. It's probably the thing I'm most passionate about aside from art. And in high school I didn't have a voice. In middle school I didn't have a voice, and so art was kind of how I spoke. I talk at the end of that video. It's basically a letter back to myself as a child who loved baseball and was obsessed with the Mariners and Griffey and was bullied and not very cool. And it's a letter back to me. And at the end, it's a clip with Willie Mays and I, and basically saying, like, hang in there. In this loneliness, you're going to find creativity. And in that creativity, you might find yourself in the room with Willie Mays one day. And it's kind of a long roundabout way of saying, you know, you never know what kind of darkness is actually bringing relevance to light. And I kind of, all that resurfaced again with the head injury. And yes, I am having surgery tomorrow for another graft on my jaw. And it sucks. My face will look like it's been curb stomped again for like the 20th time this 6-month period, but hopefully that's the last one. But yeah, it's been a long road back. Traumatic brain injuries are no joke. And doesn't help that I was misdiagnosed with no fractures in the beginning and kind of been chasing my health ever since. But yeah, it also has led me to this career. So
I know, and it's just an amazing story, and you're such a sweetheart about it. I've watched you on Blake. I've talked to you several times, and your attitude about all this is just amazing. Go Dog Go. It says, "Well, I just got here, Pat, but I would definitely like to talk to her about a job." In the description is her website, so you can reach out to her and say, "Hey, Lauren," and then she can work out the details if she can do anything, private or whatever she does. I don't know if she even does that anymore because she might be overwhelmed with TOPPS Project 70, but
definitely send a message for sure. And I am a bit overwhelmed at the moment, but yeah,
right.
I'm always happy to hear.
Mike DA Crazy Card. What I like to do, and if you've been on other streams, I really try to highlight the people that support the channel, their comments, and get them to interact with the show and stuff like that, because I want them to feel like they're part of it, and without them watching, like Blake's continuously gets views every day. Yeah. So that's why. Mike says, "This is so cool. So many talent work all their lives and never make much. So congratulations and inspiring." And everybody is, such nice comments in the chat.
Very nice. Yeah, it's kind of a combination of, I also had this kind of fear of failure that was so intense sometimes that it kind of pushed me through. I mean, some people know this, but others don't. I was rejected pretty brutally, honestly, by TOPPS 3.5 years ago. Originally, I was told a layman hobbyist could do what I do, and it crushed me. I was like, well, no more art. Like, you already wonder if you're good enough for things when you're putting yourself out there in such a expressive way. And I think it just was a combination of the head injury and that I was just like, what am I doing with my life? And I couldn't focus on the screens anymore. I couldn't my life was just different. I don't know how to describe depression unless you've had it. And I did not know the head injury would bring me there. And so being rejected by TOPPS was, and Upper Deck and Panini, but TOPPS specifically, a layman hobbyist can do what you do. I'll never forget that sentence. And for about 3 weeks, it made me not want to create. And then it just shifted my whole art. It went from being a simple, something maybe a layman hobbyist could do, I don't know, but shifting it towards how do I make these more detailed and intricate? I want no one ever again to say a layman hobbyist can create what I create. And so I spent years working on it and hustling and getting rejected constantly and sending message after message after message to people and hearing back maybe once, and I try and tell people that not because I think it's not because I want them to think I worked so hard and, hey, look at me, but rather it's okay if you're not great at something, but if you truly want to do it, I really have that mentality, kind of like Gary Vaynerchuk, that if you put everything into it and you spend every waking minute and day and hour kind of building up a fan base, but also practicing your craft, you'll get there. And there are more talented artists than me out there that haven't gotten there. And I'm really grateful that I'm here, but there was a lot of rejection along the way. And there still is, there's still constant rejection, and getting to a place where I was okay with that, I think is what helped, but also not being okay with failure enough to quit. So
no,
that explains it. But.
I'm inspired by you. I have and I don't want to talk too much about it because you're the superstar. You're the guest, but I was rejected by TOPPS. I have a cartoon character that I created, and I went through cancer a couple of years ago and been dealing with those type of things. And boy, when I read your story, I'm like, wow, like, you know, and I always wanted to do YouTube and do different things for it. And I'm like, you know, and it's tough when you hear no all that, or you spend, like I spent with a company called DH Media out of Canada that develops cartoons and does things. And we had to sign legal paperwork and all that. Yeah. And 2 months later, no, it seems a little bit too grown up for us. I was like,
yeah.
You know,
I mean, far enough along too, where I was like, this is in the bag. And then last second is like, and I could never go back and look at those emails until actually just this past fall, winter, when I signed the contract for Top 70, I actually went back and looked at those emails. And it was like full circle. It was a very emotional thing for me, but I don't think I could have looked at those emails before that. I mean, they, you know, a lot of creative people struggle with imposter syndrome and is what I do special, or am I a fraud? Am I making real art? I mean, it's everywhere. It was a big problem for me. And it was a lot of the reason I was worried I would never, you know, actually not even worried. I just never thought I would make art my career. It was just always going to be a side hobby that I did for friends during the holidays, or I did a lot of gratitude gifts where I'd try and recognize someone in the community by making an art piece and then writing a letter about why they're special. And, you know, that was fun, but you told me 5 years ago this was going to be my career, I would have laughed at you. Like, there's no way.
Right. Go. That's interested in giving you some work. It says, Lauren, who do you have that inspires you? I'm not sure. Can you see the chat or no?
I can. Yeah. I'm trying to keep up. Yeah. That's a good question. I think it's a combination of things. My future inspires me. So where can I get to? I feel like my whole life I've been struggling to get out from under mental health struggles. I feel like I've always had no confidence. I've been scared of putting myself out there. So I always try and think about maybe a part of me, like a version of me that's confident, that isn't always, you know, wondering when the shoe's going to drop. When is someone going to tell me my stuff sucks? Because I still, there's points in my career where I still trust that. Like some random person can make a comment, I'll get stuck on that. As for actual tangible people, Gary Vaynerchuk podcasts really pushed me off the cliff to like go with this, to
right
on this and go for it. And when I mean go for it, it meant long days, long nights.
Yeah, and if you guys, she's talking about Gary V for sure. Basically, his you know, his direct.
He's not for everyone.
Yeah, and I honestly, I'm not one to swear, but you know, sometimes you have to be blunt. And about 2 years ago, I found another Amazon seller that said, Pat, you got to read that book by him. And I didn't really know who he was. And I started looking at him, and boy, sometimes you need a person like that just to kind of, you know, push your ass to kind of, you know, get and don't listen to, because you'll find out, you know, there's haters, there's trolls, and you know, people are negative, you know, but your artwork is just amazing. The detail on it. I mean, I was thinking, like, you know, have you ever done like tattoos?
No, I get asked about that all the time. And one, I would not trust you with a tattoo gun. Two, I'm always worried about passing on a design to another artist to execute. Like, that's just weird. Like, what if they like butcher the face or something? And they're like, oh, this was done by Lauren Taylor and it's permanently on my body. Like, well, I don't know. Yeah. But I've also never designed a tattoo. So I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of people who look like they'll put like a family member, their kids or something like that. And the detail that you do on your artwork, I mean, you're not just drawing the player. I mean, if you could see on the bottom of the screen, you guys are watching it where it says Oakland, and I prepared this before the show. I mean, look at the detail on the shirt where you see multiple players. She's not just, well, I'm going to put a green shirt on him. She's really digging in deep there to you know, it's just amazing. What type, like, what are you using to do that artwork? And without having to give, you know, any secrets, I don't want to, you know, there, like, what is your artwork? Is it pencil? Is it paint? Is it chalk? Is it,
yeah,
you know?
So it's Lauren Taylor Illustrations, because when I first started, I did pencil drawings. And when I say first started, I mean 9 years and almost 10 years ago, drawing pencil illustrations of people's dogs. Started with my own dog. Then I found that was not a medium that was really I wanted to keep that. That was almost like a meditative thing to me.
Right.
And it became stressful when I was getting commissioned for it. So I started dabbling with wood and ink. Then I started dabbling with stencils, kind of like Blake does in a sense, because I found ink bleeds and all that stuff, and I wanted a really clean product with extra detail. So I started kind of doing a combination of digital stencil, which I create through Adobe Illustrator, put it on the wood, and then paint over the top and use ink over the top. And it's taken a long time to kind of learn how to, make the wrinkles of the jersey work with the inlays of the players. And also, how do I tell a story with one image? That's always been my mission. So if you look at Dever, I know people can't see very well, but Michael Chavez, who's middle bottom, that was a commission piece for him, and he writes in a journal every day in his journal about how he hit, and how he basically details the day and then how he hit. It's kind of his hitting journal, and in his helmet, I have a very kind of subtle image of him writing in his journal, and then he is kind of fist pumping in there after his first home run as a Red Sox. So kind of trying to incorporate his story so that he looks at that and he thinks of where all that work of writing in that journal and being a better and better and better and better player has led him to that first home run playing for the Red Sox. So, Harper smash on the far left. You've got Cubs fans in the background, not so happy. You've got Harper screaming, and it tells the story of that night. If you watch that grand slam, you don't need much more than that photo. And then Whit Merrifield's known for his speed and his base hit. So I wanted to do him hitting, but I also wanted to show his head first slide. So that's in his jersey in the dirt. And, so I always try and tell a bit of a story with each piece. And some people really like that because they know enough about baseball, but even casual baseball watchers can still see the visual appeal, and they don't need to know the full story. So.
Right. And, doing like a dog or a cat, you don't get it 1, 2, but making something that you can license through MLB and where you can have, 2,000 fans of one player. That's ultimately how to, replicate and scale it up to make it a business for you. And I'm sure that you're kind of learning that. I listened to you the other night when you were on with Blake. And I tell you, I think he's going to be a good mentor for you and to learn from some of them of basically how they're taking it to the next level of doing, specialty cards, autographs, and how to handle all that. Because there's just so much more that you can do to scale up, even on top of just doing TOPPS Project 70. Why don't you explain to the audience that doesn't know basically a brief description of what Project 70 is and kind of how it came about and what you're doing?
I'm learning more about the project every day myself, but it's basically TOPPS' 70th anniversary. I believe there's 51 artists from around the world that they've selected. I would like to see this number higher, but there's 5 females in the project. That is something I would love to see encourage TOPPS. I know there's more talented females out there as well, but I feel grateful to be one of the 5 to hopefully it's also a big motivator for me to really end this project strong. I'm going to start strong and then continue it all the way to the end because I want to open that door for the women behind me that also deserve to be a part of this. They basically selected us. Go ahead.
You're my first woman TOPPS art that I've had on now. So and I tell you the story. And I mean, you're not coming, and I hope no one takes this the wrong way that's watching this. Is you're not coming like there are people that are involved in this project that are already financially successful.
Yes.
Let's be blunt.
There's some pretty big. I was saying to someone the other day, I'm like, when I comment on another artist and I'm like, wow, I love your card today. I don't have that verified badge, and my comment just goes straight to the bottom. They never see it. They're like, who is this girl? So yeah, I feel like one of the little guys for sure. Little girls. That's
this is going to be life changing for you, in many ways.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna network. You're gonna meet people. I mean, I watch how you interact with professional, the football players that you did, and this is basically. It sort of reminds me of like a singer, and then all of a sudden he's put out his album, and he's got 5 hits on that album, and I mean, you got a nice runway the next year for you that I think is, again, you know, a year from now, if I reach out to you, you're going to probably be too damn busy. Like, Patdees.
I try and my biggest, honestly, I did a gratitude project for Blake. I don't know if anyone's seen it. It's on my Instagram. It's an Oakland A's hat, and he's kind of got the Bash Brothers, and then I've got him spray painting the A on the hat. And I did Blake as one of my, so quickly, I do gratitude projects. I used to do them every month. Now it's kind of, I'll get behind and then I'll do a couple in a month. But I do them for either celebrities or everyday people that have done something that inspired me or made the community better. For Blake, I chose him because, one, he had reached out to me a few times during Project 2020 and wanted to get me on a show. But the thing I really, and I've said this before, that I'm really grateful about Blake is that he shows that kindness, being incredibly kind and grateful to the people that buy your product, can actually help you get to the top. Whereas I think so many people assume you have to step on everyone else to get to the top. You know, you've got to you can't inspire, don't talk about too many other artists because they could be a threat. And not Blake. He trusts his skill. He trusts that by being a good human. And that's exactly what he's built. And, you know, the back of the piece just says that very bluntly, that I want to remind people that you can get to a place in kindness. You don't have to get there by being cutthroat and not supporting other women or men out of fear that they might take a piece of the pie. Like, there's lots of room at the top. It just takes a lot of work. So I really respect that about Blake.
And boy, and I tell you, anybody who's watching this who are other YouTube content creators, sometimes we have that in our own community. That sometimes I'm friends with big channels that have 250,000, but there's a lot of competition even in YouTube, and some people don't want to work with you, they don't want to collab with you, things like that. So, real quick, before I forget, I want to do this because I like to do it in front of an audience to show that it's fair. This is when Blake's show was back in January. Blake is actually going to give away 13 of his 1951 cards. I'm going to leave it up to him. There'll be random cards that he will send to he's going to take care of it. He's volunteered to give them. So basically, I don't know if you've seen this before, Lauren. This is a comment picker website, and basically you put the URL in there, and then you get YouTube comments.
Yep.
Now, again, listen. I mean, I'm telling people who are watching this in about 3 or 4 weeks, I'm going to do this again with this video that Lauren is on tonight. I'm going to give away Lauren's card and a winner, and we're going to do it exactly like this. So we're going to start the raffle and pick random winner. And the winner is Kyle Elliott. It says, T sent me, nice interview. So I don't think Kyle is here tonight, but that doesn't matter because I said either of you comment after the fact, because I want to encourage. We had 350 people watch this actual video with Blake, but only 6 people took the time to comment. And you know, when you guys are super chatting, and I do make some money, I don't make much money honestly right now doing the regular, because you know, 350 you're only getting about $2 in advertising and stuff. But it's for me, it's a way to build up the channel, give back, and you know, not be just about the money, and give to you know, people to give back to the viewers and stuff. So Kyle, if you're watching this on the replay, you just won. You'll be getting some of these cards. This is the Blake's box, and he'll be sending you 13 different cards. I'll make sure, and I'll contact him, and he said he would take care of that. And actually, real quick too, and Lauren, if you need a break to take a sip or something.
I was going to say, to add to this, I want to see your channel succeed. I will also throw in with one of the cards. You can do it separately or with one of my All Rise prints. I can grab one to show you, but it's one of my numbered prints, numbered and autographed prints from my site.
Okay.
You can throw that in there. You can do it as a combination or a separate on a different show, whatever you want. But I'm happy to include that, and you can just let me know the mailing address and winner, and you know how to get a hold of me. Do it through text.
Wow.
Find I'm a bit behind on Twitter messages, but happy to do it. They can actually choose between Pinstripe Pride or All Rise. So going with the Yankee theme for this card.
Okay.
Too.
So this is what I'll do. Is my goal is to get 2 to 3 artists that work with TOPPS a month. So on a future show, I'll mention you that I had you on the past and let them comment on that video, and you, in a sense, are paying it forward, and we'll give the prize on that night.
And reach out ahead of time, and depending on if I have, I don't know, a different cards dropping and it's more relevant to do a different player, or we can do, they can pick their own print with some limitations to the, obviously not the.
No.
Yeah, and I don't mind giving people some selection and freedom over what they choose, but
no,
like this are really important.
But also, you're running a business. I mean, and I see that Blake sees, like, he was getting bombarded with people with, he was doing like a couple, I think, free autographs, and it got to the point where and you can't do that. That's where I was listening to you the other day. Talk to those guys, because man, you're going to learn from them on how to handle a lot of those scenarios and stuff like that, because you're going to see this year is going to be you're going to look back and say, whew. I mean, I know Blake was talking about he was happy. I think if he was going to sell 75, I think he quoted 75,000 cards because he had done it on one of them.
Yeah,
and he was hoping that this year would be all of them together. But real quick, I'm going to go over. And I want to make sure we're not missing any questions. I just always wanted to be transparent and show that basically, the contest. But JC is asking, how many hours does it take to produce one piece of art, Lauren? And how long did the judge take?
I have the judge actually right here. It freaks my dogs out when it's here. But so this is the wood original judge. So I didn't create it with the card design on it yet. I'm creating all the art standalone. You can see kind of the white parts of the jersey are actually just the wood background. So I try and integrate the wood grain within the piece, because I feel like wood's such an important part of the game and the history of the game. So these take me a bit longer. But to be honest with you, I made it in a smaller size first because it's a lot bigger risk, and it was my first card. And I made 3 different types, actually. I made 3 different Aaron Judges for the first card to finally figure out which one made most sense. And the biggest change, the reason I went with this one was because I noticed the living set was being done a lot, like 1953. And so I love 1953 style, but when I was told my first card was going to be 1953, I was like, oh, shit, like there's 1953 cards up every day. And so my original piece is actually for sale on my website of the one I didn't use, which is a headshot of Aaron Judge, kind of in that more traditional style. And when I looked at it, I was like, I've got to do something different. I've got to make this look different than the other 1953. So I went with kind of a piece with a bit more emotion. So Aaron Judge is kind of shouting, and a bigger, like from the waist up instead. So it took me, I would say from start to finish, it's such a tough question. Blake and I have this conversation all the time, how we don't know how to answer this, because it's kind of little bits at a time. And I'd say probably between 14 to 18 hours.
Right.
But, that's also, oh God, ask me that question 5 years ago and be like, forever. So, I've definitely got it down to a bit of an art in itself, just kind of how I create. And, but yeah, that piece was probably 14 to 18 hours, I'd say.
Right. And it's people don't realize the time that goes into to do this, especially with what Lauren is doing. Now, there's so many, with the TOPPS Project 70, there's so many different styles. I mean, there was one artist, Joshua Vids, that he basically just took a black marker and was I don't know if you remember that in the TOPPS Project 20.
I'll tell you a story when you're done, but yeah.
Gumpa Bill, here's Kyle. Kyle's actually in here. He's the winner of the Blake's cards. He said he's jealous of art show up because I never progressed beyond the first grade level of drawings. That's why he does photography. Mookie, thank you for coming in. I'm hoping I didn't miss anybody that has stopped in. And what happens is there's a big core group of these people bounce from different shows and pop in and out.
No, it's wonderful. I'm grateful for even a few comments. In Blake's show, I can't read and talk. I just can't do it. And he has people all over the place. And so I apologize if I'm missing some. I trust that you'll bring them to my attention.
Yeah,
but
I do. I always feel like Blake's still learning that himself. I mean, some nights Blake will get 30, 40, and then some nights he'll get 100.
Yeah.
And that's a big adjustment. And sometimes you don't know what the conversation that's going on in the side, because it's between, it's not.
Blake and I have marathon, our first one, and we went for like 3.5 hours. We finally were like, the dog's got to pee, we've got to pee, it's time to cut it. But it was so fun. It was really, really fun. And I agree. So I just wanted to say something about the Sharpie thing that leads into this photography thing I'm noticing from Kyle, and then Jennifer commenting that photography is still an art. So I initially was like, Sharpie guy, like, what the heck, man? Like, how come I didn't make the cut? And then I had to have a really honest conversation with myself and realize that it's more than that. So bear with me, because I know the reason I want to say this to people that are collecting the project is because I have been lucky enough to get pretty great comments so far, but my biggest fear of doing this project was actually public criticism. I saw so many people saying my 5-year-old could do this, my 6-year-old could create this, so on and so forth, or even, you know, like people downplaying their skill in photography. And here's the thing, like, what people I think miss is the amount of work that they had to do to even get recognition to be selected. So when you look at the Sharpie guy's platform, I don't know how he's managed to do it, but he's built a huge following, and that doesn't happen overnight. As someone with only 33,000 followers, who I've worked my face off for 10 years to get that, you know, there's something to be said about any of the artists. Even if their art looks like something I could draw with my left hand, or you could ask your kid to do, I ask people to reconsider before they comment that, and just how much work has gone into getting them in that position. It's like I always say, you know, there's that Man in the Arena quote about, so here you go. You can look at his stuff, and you know, he combines video and realism with the Sharpie. And so once I learned that, I was like, okay.
Oh, I know. You have a different amount of respect, and you don't, because of now he's known. You know what he does. I mean, look at amazing here, just with the pack of coffee and the coffee mug. That, in other words, he's basically created something that when you see it, you say, "Oh my God, that's Joshua."
Yep. And here's the thing: before TOPPS, people knew who he was in his own right, and that takes time and that takes work. And you know, there's nobody that got to where they are in a position that you may or may not wish you were there that didn't work really hard. You know, it's literally impossible to, you know, fake your way there. You can buy followers, but then you have no, you know, commenting back and forth. So there's never any engagement. And so I always try and remember that, that, you know, art is art, and what, you know, a banana duct taped to the wall sold for a bunch of money. But you know what? You got invited to be in that museum and I didn't. So who am I to say? So, you know, it's just, it goes to show, I just see a lot of comments sometimes from people, of course, not people like your audience, but, you know, folks that are really critical of the art. And it's like, you know, here's the other part. You have to think of the concept. So I saw someone recreate DJ Ski's, I think, do I have his name right? DJ Ski?
Oh, yeah. DJ Ski.
I bought his card. I bought it because I noticed he used a blueprint of Yankee Stadium that I've used in many of my Yankees pieces. So I kind of loved it immediately. But someone recreated it, and they're like, took me 5 minutes. Well, did you think of the idea all on your own? No, you copied something that his mind came up with. So I just try and encourage people to have an open mind about things. And even if it's not your style, just recognize the vulnerability and the courage it took to put that art out there. And you don't have to, I'm not saying that to get you to be nice to me. I feel like I've already had a great start and I'm super grateful. But, you know, you see some comments and it breaks your heart, because you know how much people's heart and soul goes into some of these things. And their life is dedicated to, if you want to rip on Snoop Dogg, go for it, whatever. He's Snoop Dogg. He didn't need any of us. But, you know, like, yeah, that one. So someone recreated it with virtually a different photo, and, you know, and they're like, it took me 5 minutes. It's like, but you didn't think of the concept.
Right.
And that's part of the work.
Right.
So, yeah.
Now, you know, what you're saying honestly can translate to what we do on YouTube too.
Totally.
Some people will tell me, "Oh, why are you doing these lives?" I'm reaching out to different people is to get inspired, to network, to learn more, and bring people, you know, bring a person like you. You know, when I want to look back, honestly, 5 years from now, and say, wow, you know, Patdees has interviewed like 300 guests. And I've probably interviewed, honestly, about 40 to 50 different guests. And I'm not afraid, because people say to me, Pat, we do lives, but we can't get people to come on. Well, you got to talk. You got to reach out. You got to call. sometimes you got to be a pest a little bit. I mean, I'm still trying to get Gregory Thiff on because I'll be honest, I'm doing a video on my favorite card.
Yeah.
And my favorite card, and if people who follow me know, I constantly talk about eating cheeseburgers. And Gregory's card is a cheeseburger with Mark McGuire. And
Yep.
Mark McGuire was my favorite modern day player because I remember the thing they did with Sammy Salsa. And it really, when I was growing up, honestly, I grew up poor and we had bad home life. But I worked at a diner for $3 an hour, and there was a guy there that used to do card shows. And he used to send me over, and I'd buy the cards for 50 cents a pack. And I'd be like, wow, this guy. And I look, Mike Schmidt hit so many home runs, and he became my favorite player. And you know what I did when I was 13? I wrote him. This is way before eBay, way before they won't even do it now. He sent me
handwrite letters and hope to God he got one back.
Yeah. And he sent me a typed letter from his home in Pennsylvania with an autographed card.
Very cool.
20.
That means the world to a kid.
Yeah, and it did to me because I didn't come from honestly, when I didn't have a good home life. 20 some years later, the casino in our area brought him in. I met Mike Schmidt for free. I took a picture with him with that, that picture. I had it framed in an 8x10 of him.
Yeah.
And for me, it was just, it was amazing. And I'm still a fan. And the problem with Topps Project 70 right now is I can't look at the cards every day because
you're there and it's quick and you gotta, it's going to be a marathon for sure.
Yeah. You're going to have to be choosy on which cards that you're picking and stuff like that.
And that's why the artists, we're trying to make sure we notify people that want our cards. That's my plan, at least, because how the heck else, unless you're on
right. And you can, I even hear you being supportive of many artists. You can't mathematically buy 5 cards of every artist. Just you can't. This was the one I'll show you real quick that I got an AP of King's Sedin. And I want to get him on the show because he's a local. He's from Philadelphia, and I live about 2.5 hours. But the color on that card was just I'm in awe.
Yeah, I love the Yelich card. I love the Ohtani that dropped today. I mean, I love them all, but like you said, you can't buy a 5-pack of everyone. So I try and I also like to support the newer artists for sure. And if I can't, if there's 3, I'll try and do the 3-pack, when I can. So
or Lauren, and I'll give you a little advice. What'll happen? A couple months down the road, you'll get somebody that's chasing the gold card and have a business, and they're buying 40 of them, and then they'll resell them. They'll be reselling them on eBay.
Yeah. As someone right now who is so excited about my print run, I kind of feel like I want to buy it from Topps to help the other artists because I don't know if they care as much about their print run, but I was like on the edge of my seat for 3 days. Like, I'll be honest. I'm very competitive, and I just wanted to beat Snoop, and I was so close. It was so close.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel to go around in life with anything and say I beat Snoop at something, I feel like is like, I don't know, review worthy.
Yeah. Hey, Courtney, thanks for stopping. And and as I'm into the conversation here with Lauren, I'm sorry if I'm missing anybody's chat here. It's sometimes you get your brain wrapped up into what you're talking about. It's hard to follow everybody's chat, but I do appreciate everyone that has come by.
Out speaking somewhere and then I lost it. But
right here.
That one, I think it was before that. It was about speaking to youth. I just don't.
Oh yeah, that's a great question. I thought about that because you have such an inspiring story that and about art, because art honestly gets, I think, lost a lot of times. Even we kind of say, well, you gotta work at McDonald's or go to college or work at Walmart, and to be.
I still get looks when I'm like, I'm an artist.
Yeah.
I swear. I'm not actually. I pay my rent. My parents don't. Like, I swear to God. You get a weird look, but.
My dream was to work for Disney one day as an artist, but unfortunately for me, and I say unfortunately, I had my first son when I was 17.
Okay.
And I had responsibilities.
Sure.
I'm still in my 40s yet, but I just always felt like, Pat, you don't have time to kind of monkey around with that silly stuff.
Yeah.
And I think, now I think the avenue's different though, because the internet platform of reaching out to people to sell your stuff and is much different than it was 20 years ago.
Sure.
They wouldn't be able to find your art.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge opportunity. It also becomes a huge, how do we stand out among the,
right,
everybody on Etsy or whatever. So yeah, and the other thing too is I like the idea of art bringing back out the child within us. So, you probably had a lot of time in, as a 17-year-old father that you would, probably like some years to just have fun again. And, I think that's a bonding thing that maybe you could do with your son, where you're kind of getting to be a kid again through art, and they get to enjoy it. And that's part of the reason I love some of these cards that are so, people say it looks so juvenile or whatever, but I think that's actually special. It allows, the kid in us to come out. We don't do that enough.
Right. I agree.
We shut it down.
Yeah. People who follow me now, I've been on YouTube for 2 years, and they'll say, what's my personality? I said, it's a cross between Willy Wonka and Walt Disney.
Okay.
I mean, my goal is to move to Florida and work at Walt Disney, even if it's 1 day a week. And I've been to Disney World about 8 times in the last 20 years. I like the corniness. I like the storytelling. And you talk about depression. I went through a lot of things with family and stuff like that. And, art and doing drawings and just, telling stories of that. It's just, it's so comforting.
Yeah. It's private if you want it to be. It's a safe space. It's a space.
Now, have you have you done much speaking to youth, kids, students? I help coach youth sports and would be so inspiring to kids, adults, and art schools.
Yeah, so I've done kind of a few things. I do the art kits. I have one sitting right next to me, but it's basically a canvas bag with colored pencils, full set of colored pencils, a journal with my Create Without Fear slogan. And then if they're into baseball, I collect cards simply to put them in by team packs in these small little holders. So this is one for the Cubs. So I'll put that in there with a journal and a note from me, and just send it off. And hopefully they find some inspiration, whether it is to draw or write, whatever they want to do in there. But that's one thing I do. But as for speaking, I have spoken at a few conferences to adults about my story and kind of, giving up on the comfortable corporate job and going full in on this, pipe dream of making sports art, which 4 years ago was not really a thing that was celebrated. Before TOPPS 2020, it was hard. And the other part is I volunteered for the suicide hotline here in Vancouver. And so I've really become acutely aware of the fact that the age is going down and the rate is going up for suicide. And that bothers me to a point that I hope it bothers others to hear that. And it's something I've been really driven to try and change however I can. Hearing some of those voices on the phones that they're too young to even need to be thinking about the things they're thinking about. And during a pandemic, it's just getting worse. So I've spent a lot of time this past fall trying to think how I can help with that. So there's a few videos on my Instagram feed with Brian Johnson, Dee Gordon, Charlie Culberson, Kyle Lewis. So a few players that I've met through making art, and I've asked them simple questions like, what would you tell a younger version of yourself? Or what would you tell, someone who's going through adversity? Did you go through adversity? Trying to remind these kids that, man, you just don't know. And I'm glad that I held on for 2 years when I didn't want to, because I had no idea this was waiting, this life. And it's so hard to see that when you're stuck in the muck of depression and all that. And it's hard for kids right now. So yeah, I do. Kids are very important to me. Speaking to them is very important to me. Talking about mental health is very important to me. I think we've got to give kids a way to speak if they can't use their words. And the easiest way to do that for me was art. So however they choose to do it, whether that's writing, whether that's singing, whatever it is, we've got to make a change as the adults. Our kids should not be thinking about those things. And they are, and that breaks my heart. So
right, and and honestly, I mean, yeah, social media is good to connect and network as an adult, but I see it so many times that people are hateful sometimes, like and I'll say Facebook, and the comments that they say, instead of inspiring other people. I get it myself as an adult, and I take it, and kids aren't going to church as much as we did as kids, and they're being influenced by a lot of things. And I just think, boy, if somebody, I could see you on the road one day, just going to like 20 different places a year and just talking to, and being paid to do it, because you have such a great story, and I don't know. In other words, I assume you're not like I've seen, like I said, Snoop Dogg. He's not doing it for the money. He's doing it for the.
I still have to make a little money. I still have to. So
right, exactly.
Yeah. So, but I also try and be as giving as possible when things are coming my way. So, yeah, I just I love speaking with kids and with audiences, because people before me that found their voice and said, especially about concussions, like this can exacerbate this kind of mental health issue. If it wasn't for hearing their voice, I may not have been able to find my rope to hang on to. So I can't express enough how important it is for me to try and give that back, even if it only reaches 1 or 2 kids, or maybe it reaches 20 people. I don't know, but it's incredibly important to me.
Lauren, I said I would keep you at an hour, so we're going to wrap it up here. I'm hoping down the road, honestly, maybe 5-6 months, I can have you come back. There's a lot of questions I would like to ask you again. I think you're the most rounded, the best guest I've ever had on my channel. Just your story really hits home with me, and I'm sure a lot of people in the chat, because we need more good souls like yourself, and to be doing this. Yes, she does. This is my older son. He came in late.
I saw that. Sorry, Dad, didn't know you were live. So cute.
Yeah. No, this is Nate. I'm having some problems. My mom won't make food for me no more. She tells me to cook, so I brought Lauren on here to counsel me. Watch the replay, kid. This is one of the
comment, and you might win something.
Exactly. So. This is we don't honestly, he's 31 years old, so he's off doing his own thing, and we don't.
Said that was so cute. That was probably a horrible thing to hear then. I was like, oh, that's so cute. But yeah, I will say, give you a bit of praise here in what you've done. No matter the viewers you have at this point, you've got the right personality. The way you approached me, it was an instant yes for me. And with limited time and what have you, it was. When I told you I had surgery and I said, we'll make it work, it's because of the way you approached me and the kindness you spoke with me. And it's a matter of time before this thing gets bigger. You just, one step at a time. And I can't wait till you are the next big guy, and you can do it with kindness. And that's what you're doing. So,
yeah, and that's, I try to be me.
Yeah.
I don't try to fake it. I don't try to just talk, just about reselling. I really want to have guests like you that come on that talk about daily life and art, and really things that, because a lot of people are like, oh, I bought a pair of jeans at the Salvation Army. I sold them for $7. Who cares? I want to have people like you to come on and say, man, I've had an injury. I've had depression. Look what I'm doing. And now, man, you've hit a home run. It's taken off, and people are seeing you worldwide and loving what you're doing. And man, when I watched, and I didn't tell you I was going to make those video clips.
I saw that. Yeah.
Because I didn't want you to say no.
I wouldn't say no to you. I'm actually I want people to see the flip side, because I don't want people to get discouraged when they see everyone's highlight reels, because that's all we show. And the truth is, there's been days, I'll give you a good example. I was going to deliver a huge piece that I had been commissioned from Robinson Cano for CC Sabathia's retirement, and I had a full-blown panic attack in the hotel. Why should I have a panic attack in the big moment? And it was a panic attack. It wasn't nerves. It was like crippling. I'm going to throw up. I can't breathe, and there's been so many times where I've just had to do what I need to do. So in that case, it was like, we are too far gone. And you take an Ativan, lie down, take a minute, gather, because this is an important day in my career. But I don't post that. I post the photo with CC Sabathia and Robinson Cano, not me laying on my back in the hotel room crying, hoping I'm not going to fuck this up, you know,
Right.
and it not talking about that, all that does is tell people that are struggling that, ugh, you're never going to make it. Ugh, good luck. And,
That's
and
what, you know, we only had about 20 people here tonight. And what I'm hoping is that when people watch this on the replay, you know, I've supported a lot of bigger channels, been cheerleaders, and I'm hoping people will share this out, not because of Patdees, because I'm just a host. And I always say when people come on, they're the star, that they share it out because of your inspiring story, and they can relate. And, you know, I really hope that this gets, and it will. I mean, Blake's got both of his videos got combined about 1,000 views, but you have such an amazing story, and I'm just so happy. You know, it's honestly, as a man, it's hard to ask a woman to kind of, hey, I want you to come on my YouTube channel. And
yeah, but the thing is, you did
because
it.
you don't know, you know what I mean? And
I could tell by just the way we conversated that'd be fine. And you said you want to remain who you are, and I think that's a good point, because no matter if you got to the top, not being Patrick, you would hate it when you got there, you know? So, you know, the way you're doing things, it may be a slower build, but you'll get there. There's no doubt in my mind. If this is how you treat your guests and your viewers and your commenters, it just takes time. You know, you just,
oh yeah. And at the end of the day, I don't need to.
But you have to invite me back on when you're super famous. Like, I'll be really irritated if you big league me when you've got like a million subscribers and I still haven't figured out my YouTube channel. If you're like, nah, that Lauren.
No, I'm not. I'm very nostalgic. I actually go back to places I worked as a kid and people, and it kind of breaks my heart because I had a business where I had 800 employees. Over the years, and you know, with cancer, had to close it down and stuff, and a lot of those people don't reach out to me, so I'm very sentimental, and I'll look back and say, wow, I remember when I had you on, and I know that what you're doing, you're just going to keep building and stuff. But I want to end it at that because I know that, man, there's so much more. And what I'm going to do here is you're going to go back in the green room, but I'm going to end the show on the last minute or two showing more of Lauren's artwork. And I want you guys to go check out her website and get in touch with her and reach out to her. She's doing a great job. She's got 19 more cards to go, so she's not done. She's going to be tied up with this for a year. And I do appreciate the support. If you want to plug anything or say anything before we go.
I'll give a disclaimer, and then I always like to reward people that watch. Disclaimer, if you do reach out to me in the next few days or even until Monday or Tuesday, bear with me. I will not be fully functioning after surgery, and I do tend to miss things. So don't be afraid to reach back out again. If you've emailed me or social media messaged me and I haven't gotten back to you, I just will probably read your message while I'm in morphine land and be like, yeah, okay. And then I'll forget about it when I'm back to Earth 2 days later. So that's my disclaimer. Please don't think it's me ignoring you, and don't be shy to reach back out. Lastly, LTI 10 for anything in the store will get you 10% off. I always like to do that for people that watch. If there's a print you like, and that includes free shipping to most of the U.S. So, and actually quite a bit of Canada. So that's my thank you to you for being here and for supporting Patrick, and also supporting him enough to be willing to listen to me, because who knew what I was going to talk about. So. Big thanks to all of you for being here, and thank you, Patrick, for having me again.
Right, and like I said, I'm going to close it out with this other clip that I made to show her artwork. And thanks, guys, for watching. Thumbs up, share this out. I appreciate it. And hang in the back for a couple minutes. We'll touch base when we finish this, and I'd appreciate it. Okay?
Cheers.
That's right. You're damn right I did that. 8 down. 8 down. 8 profiles. You hear him? You hear him? He's trying to talk smack on me and Cletus. What are you talking about? That was the highlight of the show. He got a little haywire. I'm not going to let somebody take me out like that. Not going to happen. I'm never going away, Patdees. Matter of fact, this show's going to go into watching Patdees. We're going to watch Patdees videos. We're going to make fun of them the whole damn time.